Coming to the detailed analysis of the poem A Valediction Forbidding Mourning, first stanza reads, "As virtuous men pass mildly away and whisper to their souls to go." Now this poem is again a perfect example of metaphysical poetry. It begins at a very abrupt note. John Donne is not, introducing the subject matter, but he begins with a simile. And the simile would be a comparison to the virtuous men. And he says that as virtuous men pass away, now, as virtuous men die, they die very silently, very calmly, in very peace, contentment, as if they whisper their souls to go. जैसे कहते हैं कि बस चली जा और वो चली जाती है. That's the way that they die. They make no noise. Their expression, they do not express any kind of pain, any kind of fear, any kind of regret. They pass away mildly. Whilst some of their sad friends do say the breath goes now and some say no. The state of their passing away is such that the people who surround them, their relatives, their friends, even they are in doubt whether the person has died or is still alive. उनको भी पता नहीं चलता कि बंदे की जान निकली या नहीं निकली. So some would say that he is still alive. The other would say no, he has passed away. So, as these virtuous men pass away, we must separate in the same manner. Now that comparison is very odd. It's a metaphysical comparison. He is, comparing the separation of theirs with the death. And the second strange comparison is that he is comparing himself and his beloved with the virtuous men. And that is a trait of his poetry. For example, in the poem Canonization, he compares, lovers with the saints. And here he is comparing them with the virtuous men. And he says that जिस तरह से वो अलग होते हैं, उसी तरह से हमें भी अलग होना चाहिए. We must not mourn, we must not regret, we must not express fear, we must not show any kind of, uncivilized reaction to this separation. That was the first argument of many arguments which he would be making later in this poem, where he talks about or he gives an example of virtuous men कि जिस तरह से उनकी वफात होती है उस तरह से हमको अलग होना चाहिए. हमको कोई शोर या तमाशा खड़ा नहीं करना चाहिए. The second stanza reads, "So let us melt and make no noise." He uses the word melt. Melt is a process where a thing vanishes or finishes, but that process makes no noise. So he is using a beautiful imagery कि हम कैसे अलग होंगे, कैसे जुदा होंगे, जिस तरह से कि एक melting का process है. And make no noise. And we must not create any kind of fuss, any kind of problem. किसी तरह का शोर हमको खड़ा नहीं करना. We must separate through a process of melting. We must melt away. No tear floods nor sigh tempests move. Now that is the hyperbole. That is the exaggeration for which John Donne is known, for which these metaphysical poets are known. That we must not, raise floods through our tears. We must not raise tempests because of our sighs. इतनी हमको आहें नहीं भरनी के तूफान खड़ा हो जाए. इतना हमको आंसू नहीं बहाने के दरिया बहने लग जाएं. We have to be careful about that. Now that is the exaggeration that John Donne was known for. To our profanation of our joy is to tell the laity our love. Now another argument he makes in front of his wife to convince her is that, see, बेइज्जती है. This is insult to our emotion, insult of our love, that we must express it in front of laity, in front of common man. Now these two verses reflect or express the social class, the society, or the structure of society of Donne's time. Donne belonged to probably to the middle class, and he does not find it fit to express his emotions in front of the lower class. He considers it as an insult, and he tells her, since it's an insult, so we must not express our emotions in front of them. We must not create any kind of hue and cry, रोना धोना, मातम मनाना, लोगों को बताना, पूरा मोहल्ला इकट्ठा करना. We must not act in that manner. Now that was second argument that he makes in favor of his separation from his wife, but seems that his wife is not convinced, so he has to make another argument or another defense argument, a convincing argument to convince his wife in the third stanza. Moving up the earth brings harms and fears. Men reckon what it did and meant. He changes his focus. He sees कि यार ये मेरी बात नहीं मानी, इज्जत की बात नहीं मानी, नेक लोगों की बात नहीं मानी. Now I'll tell her something else. Now he takes her to the nature and he says, look, when earthquake comes, it brings with itself harms and fears. People, find a very difficult time when earthquake strikes and they say, men reckon what it did and meant. कि ये क्यों हुआ earthquake और कितना नुकसान हुआ, कितने लोग मरे, कितने घर गिरे. These are the questions that people start asking. That what was its magnitude, how many lives were lost, how many homes have fell, what other problems has it done. These are the questions that people ask, full of fear, full of trouble are people because of earthquake. So we must not behave like earthquake, but trepidation of the spheres, though far greater, is innocent. Look at the trepidation. This is another process, another method, जिसमें जो है nature, and is a very consistent process. The trepidation of spheres, the movement on its own axis, ये continuous है, but it does not bring any kind of harms and fears. So how should we behave at this time? We have to behave like trepidation, not like the earthquake. And trepidation is innocent, and we must also get separated innocently. Now that was the third stanza. Now this argument, he brings from nature, and he tells her that it is better that we behave like trepidation rather than earthquake. But seems that his wife is not convinced yet. So he makes another argument in stanza 4. Dull, sublunary lovers love whose soul is sense cannot admit absence. Dull, sublunary lovers is a phrase, is a statement for earthly lovers. So what John Donne is saying here, he intentionally is raising their status. He is doing kind of a flattery with his wife. कि we are not dull sublunary lovers. हम ये धरती पे रहने वाले प्यार करने वालों की तरह नहीं हैं. Because those people, they cannot admit absence because their soul is. वो सोल से नहीं सोचते, वो दिमाग से सोचते, और जब वो दिमाग से सोचते हैं तो वो उनको सेपरेशन जो है वो बर्दाश्त नहीं होती है. But we are not such lovers. We are not sublunary lovers. He is flattering with his wife to convince her कि तू घर पे बैठ जा, मैं घूम के आता हूँ. ठीक है ना. लेकिन बीवी उसकी लगता है मान नहीं रही है. ठीक. सो ही इज मेकिंग डिफरेंट आर्ग्यूमेंट्स. अब वो कहता है तू कोई आम लड़की तो है नहीं, मैं कोई आम लवर तो हूं नहीं. सो वी मस्ट नॉट से दैट आई कैन नॉट एडमिट एब्सेंस. हम एक दूसरे के से दूर नहीं रह सकते, हमको दूरी बर्दाश्त नहीं हो सकती. बिकॉज इट डथ रिमूव दोज थिंग्स विच एलिमेंटेड इट. व्हाई डू दीज सबलुनरी लवर्स डोंट एडमिट और कांट एडमिट एब्सेंस? बिकॉज इट रिमूव्स दोज थिंग्स विच एलिमेंटेड इट. विच एलिमेंटेड, जो जिससे ये प्यार मोहब्बत उनका रिश्ता बना था, वो उसको दूर कर लेता. Which is the body, which is the physical presence of the two persons, and separation would remove those two things. But our soul is not sense, understand, but our sense is soul. So therefore we must not behave in such manner as the laity would do, as the common men would do, or as the sublunary lovers would do. Now that was the third stanza, where he continues to argue with his wife to convince her, and now he is entering into the mode of flattery to convince her that this separation is not bad.